On a remote road in the Ural Mountains of Russia, signs are lined up with an unusual message. Please drive at maximum speed. For the next 20-30 kilometers, absolutely no stopping. The signs are the gateway to a 40-year-old secret, a radioactive wasteland called Kyshtym. In 1948, the Soviets built their own plutonium production facility, Mayak, in the close city of Chelyabinsk 40, that's now known as Ozersk, in an attempt to win the Cold War arms race. The complex was supposed to quickly supply nuclear bombs, but instead, it became the Soviet Union's greatest environmental and human tragedy. Mayak wasn't one disaster, but three nuclear disasters in one place. With incredible recklessness, Mayak workers dumped highly radioactive waste directly into the Techa River, a river that over 120,000 people downstream depended on for drinking and farming. Soviet officials knew the consequences, but chose to remain silent and covert. The waste contained dangerous isotopes such as strontium-90 and cesium-137, which replace calcium in bones and cause bone marrow cancer. The ignorance of this disaster continued for years, until the poisoning of the water could no longer be hidden. After the Techa River became so polluted that there was no way to hide it, the Soviets found another solution: dumping the waste into a shallow lake called Karachay. This lake became the largest and most dangerous nuclear waste disposal site in the world, and the second disaster occurred. The level of radioactivity in Karachay reached such a level that if someone stood on its shore for just an hour, they would receive a lethal dose of radiation. Karachay was officially recognized as the most polluted place on Earth for decades. On September 29, 1957, the final disaster occurred. The cooling system of one of the 20 high-level waste storage tanks had been out of service for a long time due to a lack of maintenance. At 4:20 p.m., the temperature of the contents of tank number 14 reached 350 degrees Celsius, causing a massive chemical explosion that blew the 200-ton concrete roof into the sky. A cloud of 800 tons of radioactive particles, mostly cesium-137, rose into the air. This nuclear rain fell over an area of about 20,000 square kilometers, larger than Slovenia, creating an area known as Eastern Ural Radioactive Trail. The severity of this pollution along a 20 to 30 kilometers stretch is what we see today with drive at maximum speed signs. The Soviet government heroically covered up the disaster. The official report to the public was, a beautiful aurora borealis had turned the sky yellow and orange. The evacuation of residents began with a 1-week delay and continued intermittently over 50 years. Food grown in the area was quickly destroyed and replaced with the clean food imported from outside, so no one asked questions. For decades, the Russians quarantined the area as a natural reservoir to not only contain the pollution, but also to monitor the long-term effects of radiation on the people of the area as a living experiment. For 40 years, the people of the area were subject to strange diseases, cancer, birth defects, and infertility. These diseases became unofficially known as the Mayak signs. Only one man broke the silence: Gusman Komarov. Born 6 months after disaster, he spent decades collecting medical records and measuring radiation levels to prove that the government had deliberately poisoned its citizens. In 1996, he founded the watchdog group Techa, an activity that led the government to label him an enemy of the state. In 1993, Russia admitted that some 450,000 people had been exposed to harmful levels of radiation. The incident was officially classified as a Level 6 incident on the international scale, after Chernobyl and Fukushima. Today, the victims of Kyshtym continue to live in an economic prison. If they leave their contaminated villages, they lose their meager medical and financial assistance. Simply put, they have no choice but to remain in the shadow of a disaster that has stripped them of their human dignity. This story reminds us that the greatest threat to humanity is not just a huge explosion. It is the absolute secrecy and 40 years of silence that destroyed the fate of hundreds of thousands of people. Do you think today's global awareness can stop such a huge secrecy? Write your opinion in the comment section.